Hello, 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 and welcome to
Hey,
another episode of SW Podcast. It is Podcast Wednesday, 6:30 live up in the
yes,
Tallahassee area. We got our girl Queen C on, and we also
it's
gonna have
me.
a guest. Our open forum guest gonna be on today, Mr. Robert Stugger. Y'all know Rob bringing the male opinion, the
Rob
male.
just
Yes,
come on,
he
Rob.
popping in. He being consistent. This is what I be talking about with the black man and the black
That
woman.
part, like,
The connection we supposed to have when we doing business and stuff. So I appreciate Stig for tapping back in with us. It's gonna be sometimes he's not here, but for the most times you will see him popping in as I open forum, giving the
that's what's
male
up.
point of view. Okay, yeah. So what's up, Queen?
I'm chilling, girl. It's Wednesday.
It's
We
Wednesday.
almost to the weekend. We almost to the weekend, which got my niece graduating, and man, look here.
Your niece
I
graduate
got a
this
couple. I
weekend.
got two.
So you got to
Two
go to the.
nieces graduating and a nephew graduating, but I don't think they all graduating this weekend. But I'll see if they is. I'll just be graduating all weekend.
So you are you is in it? It's all down in Polk County area,
It's
right?
all in Polk County. All in
Well, you
Polk
gonna be
County.
you finna be out
So we're
and
gonna be
about
in
doing
Polk
the bid
County
with the
this
family.
weekend, y'all.
That's gonna
Out
be
in
good
Polk
though.
County this weekend. What? I'm ready
That-
though. I'm ready to because it all of us will be there. Well, Rashard won't be with us because he'll be doing his basketball thing in Orlando.
mhm.
But Zoe, so all of us will be there at one time. My mama, my brother, all of us will be there at one time. My parents and stuff. So that's gonna be good.
That's
Everybody
good.
in one spot.
Well, I hope
So
you all
my
have a
grandma and all them. So
excellent time there because it ain't nothing like being around family and having a good time with family.
what?
So
Laughing, joking, all that.
all
So I'm
that.
ready. I'm
Well,
ready. I
okay.
hope y'all having a good Wednesday out here, baby. I hope y'all having a good Wednesday out
Definitely, definitely enjoying Wednesday. And how can you not enjoy a Wednesday when it's SW Podcast Wednesday?
here. W
I wake up in the
podcast.
morning knowing that today, y'all, it's another day to go hard, Shelby. So let's do it. And that's what we're gonna do today. We are talking about Black
Oh
women in
yeah.
the struggle for equality. So we're gonna jump into that quote of the day. But first, we're gonna bring on our open forum guest, Mr. Robert Stigger. Come on in,
What's up,
Steve.
folks?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey,
Hey man, what's happening? What's
Rob.
going on? What's going on? What's going on? We outside. Well,
I
hey
like
man, what's
that. I like
up?
that.
What's
You
up,
ready
man?
to you ready
That part.
What's up?
to
Let's
I
get
know that's
into it.
Rob
right.
is with
So
us again today.
thank you for
Yeah, man,
your
I'm here.
presence.
I
Thank
heard
you
y'all
for your
telling me
presence.
out, talking about, oh, you come and make me consistent. Now don't do that. Don't do that now.
well, bro, you is though, bro. You is.
You doing
You
that
is.
though. I'm giving you your credit.
You is though, bro. You is.
Hey, it's all good,
It's
man. Y'all
all
know
good though. It's
it's
all
all good.
good. It's all
It's
good.
all
It's
good.
all good. It's
Yes,
all
enjoying
good.
your Wednesday. I know that's
Hey,
right. I know
but
that's
that
right.
that's something that we all trying to be good at, being
Consistency.
consistent.
1000%.
You know what I'm saying? And
One
the
thousand
things
percent.
that we doing in life, like that. That look, hey, we got to start somewhere.
It takes a
Got to
village.
start somewhere.
And that's why you have us to keep reminding you. I'm gonna send you them links, but make sure you on here. And I know if you don't even if you're not there, you're gonna let me know. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good.
Yeah,
We just gonna I like all I was
appreciate
saying
you.
was I like the consistency.
First of all, I be sleep.
Here we go.
So let's,
I ain't
let's
even
go
mess
ahead and
around
start
with you,
there.
bro. Talk about you
And
be
he
sleep.
do. Girl, not that girl. One time he called after the show and was like,
Oh my
Shells. And
God, we
I could tell he had just woke up. I could tell.
I'm
He
telling
talking
you.
about Shells. Man, I'm so sorry, man. He talking about I had none. Wait, what he had said? Some he had ate something. He talking about man, I ate that lunch, man, and I knocked that man. And I
I
was
had to
like,
got
you
up.
know
I had
what?
it had to be.
you must have had a
It couldn't have
late
been no early.
lunch.
Boy, it had to be about 9 o'clock. Like I'm talking about, it was late.
It was like he called me at 9. It was like 9:30 that night when he called me. So
Oh
I
my God.
yeah, yeah. So let me
Now I'm
bring on
old
the
now,
quote,
man.
y'all. The quote of the day is Your willingness to look at your darkness is what empowers you to change. Iyanla Vanzant.
Mm.
Y'all think about that.
Mm. Yeah, because you probably don't like what you see.
I mean, because that's true. Like it's making you
Yeah, you
face your
don't like what
reality.
you see. Yeah.
I get that. I mean, I got a couple of different mixed feelings about Iyanla anyway. You know, but
But we're gonna focus on the message, not the
We're
messenger.
gonna focus on the quote.
We're gonna focus on the message, not the
I'm just
messenger. That's
saying.
how things be getting out of hand right there. We forget that there's a message involved because we be so concerned with the person who delivering it.
But you got to listen to the message as it comes from the messenger as well.
No, well, no, not for this particular, not for certain quotes though. Like if a quote is a good quote, it's a good quote.
It's just a good quote.
I don't care if Satan said it. That ain't got nothing to do with me. He said something good this time. Everything, come on. We just got to focus on the situation at hand. Now, go ahead though. Go ahead, but with your key, go ahead with what you think of the message though. Go ahead and put your Iyanla
I got
Vanzant
I
feel
got
onto it.
Iyanla
I
Vanzant.
gotta I gotta keep mine to myself because of the messenger.
Oh my
Now I
God.
feel it. Now she ain't say nothing wrong, but I'm gonna keep it to
Yeah.
myself. That's just me.
So
Okay.
you don't got another opinion other than that one? That's it.
I'm trying,
Well,
I'm trying to dissect the
You
message
got
and take it away.
something, bruh. Something.
I'm trying to take it away from the messenger, and I just can't get it away from the messenger.
that's too
Oh
I,
you
my
been well
God.
dang. So you telling me you're gonna be critical of the message because you can't look past the messenger.
The messenger.
God
Mm.
damn it.
Mm.
Well, I'm
that's
gonna put you
correct.
on. I don't care. And I'm gonna say it again to remind you that you petty.
Oh my God. That
Hey,
part.
man.
I'm just gonna let you know. But
Golly,
but
Rob.
but coming from a male point of view,
Okay, so
there we go. There we go.
run the
That's all I want to do because I slap you with it. Your
Read the
run the
quote
willingness,
again,
run the
Queen.
message
Read the
run the
quote
message back
again.
again.
Read the quote again, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Read the quote again to it.
your willingness to look at your darkness is what empowers you to change.
Which is why I did not want to say anything about it because
Go
of
ahead.
who
Don't say
said it.
nothing. Then, goddamn.
I
Go.
get it. I told you when you first said it. I get it, but the messenger just ain't it. Now
Oh,
it works. It works. It works. Right. It only if only if you can get past the superficial sense of the whole situation. Right. So because of who said it, it's superficial. Like I can't. Go ahead,
So,
man. Let's go.
and I guess
you
this
can't
is,
get past it.
and I'm gonna tell you this right here because this gonna bother me that you can't get past that because I want to hear what you think about this in so many different reasons, so many different facets. Because for one, I want to hear what the black man feels about being stuck on your faults. And this is exactly what that message is a display of. I don't give a fuck what Anyala say or what she do. I ain't even have to put her last name right there. I bet I would have got a response out of you if I wouldn't have. But
You definitely if only put the
Unknown.
first name on there, I know you were talking about. So it wouldn't have been if you'd have said somebody else or you would have said unknown, that would have been different.
I know that.
But
That's what I'm saying.
but
Normally,
you
that's
but
what I
you
do. Even if I know who the person is, I do that. But
You'll
I
put
did this for.
unknown.
This is we're having a conversation today on Black women. So I put that particular quote there. I had two or three other different quotes today. I put that
okay,
particular. I put
so
that particular.
I spoke on I spoke on this topic more than once. And I
Mhm.
spoke on it more than once on your show, right? So if we're talking we're talking about owning your own faults, I get that. Um, but coming from a African American grown man's point of view, how do you do that when you're not allowed to, right? Like you're not allowed to own your faults, even when you're a shorty. Like when you're young, you can't own them. What you can do is you can get beat up by them. You can get beat up about your faults, but you can't own them. So when that's why you have a lot of grown men that look at their partner to be their mama.
So,
We can keep going now.
um,
We can keep going.
so based on, hey, okay, who this was? This was Badrika. This was Badrika's response. You have to be able to see your own faults and wrongdoings. And this is her response to the quote, which stated that your willingness to look at your darkness is what empowers you. And what I got, because what I gathered from the quote is this, because I feel what you're saying. I feel that. What I gathered from the quote is me standing and looking at my ugliness, the things that I want to hide from the world, the things that even I want to hide from myself, and not being accountable for those things, keeping them hidden, is what's keeping me from changing and growing. So if I don't take accountability for these things that are going on, that I'm trying to shelter, that the world don't even see, but I see it, how can I change and grow? I can keep on walking out here trying to look like I'm manifesting and changing and growing, but on the behind the scenes, I'm really still stuck in this same space. So that's what I took from the message. And
We kind of hit on it. We kind of hit on. I don't mean to cut you off. We kind of hit on it last week, like when I was telling you, like, if you can't look in the mirror, right?
mm-hmm,
And that's kind of the same thing.
mm-hmm.
Kind of the same thing. It gets a little bit deeper with the message this week, but that's kind of the same thing. Like, if you can't look in the mirror, like, that just is what it is.
Because that mirror gonna be real with you. It's
Ain't nothing you can do about it. There's
nothing
nothing you can do about it.
It's you. All
that
you.
it could you can't do. It's completely there. It's whatever the visibility of you is there. And a lot of times, we love to run from that. We'll get out that mirror fast.
It's
When
easy
like
to.
and the mirror be like this sometimes. The mirror don't even really be a mirror. It could be you having a conversation with your family, and now the conversation get on you. And now they want to tell you about you. And it
Mm-hmm.
might be really true,
It is true.
but you don't want to
But
hear it
you used to
because
having
you
a,
haven't,
you used to having an uncomfortable conversation about everybody else, not yourself.
but not yourself. So you keep on turning your back on the mirror, but your family trying to make you face it, and you looking like,
Yep.
yeah. So,
That
and
thing
Yep.
get deep.
I mean, that's accountability goes a long way. It just, you gonna,
It
no matter how
does.
many points you make, you gonna come back to the same thing.
Made that one of your shows because we can have a whole show about that.
Accountability.
Oh
Until
yeah.
you,
We did one. You missed that one.
we did our accountability show.
We did account. We can revisit it. I can do
I'm gonna say
accountability number 2.
run that bitch back. You need yeah.
We can
Run that
definitely
back.
do that because accountability is a topic you can never stop talking about.
Never.
It comes in so many forms and facets. So
Yep.
yeah, we can definitely come back and revisit that. So again, the quote of the day: your willingness to look at your darkness is what empowers you to change. And with that
Change,
being said,
change, change,
we're gonna go
people.
ahead and jump into our conversation of the day.
I
And
actually
that
agree with it, but go ahead. I actually agree with it, but I agree with the message, not the messenger, but I agree with the message though. I'm
You
just
know
saying.
what?
I'm just saying.
because I know he liked the message, but he just want to be difficult and shit.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I'm not even being funny. Like, I agree with the message for real. Like, I agree with the message because
You
that's
just don't agree with the messenger.
he
yeah,
hate he hate he don't want to discuss that messenger, but he definitely think that the message works.
yeah. The message is definitely for real. But the messenger ought to be shaming herself. But go ahead.
All right,
Oh my
so
God.
I can't do it. So black women in the struggle for equality. Um navigating in well, for one, in our world, we have to be one, we have
It'll
to
never
be
happen. But go ahead.
in our world, we have to be one way in the workforce, and then we can let our hair down amongst friends and family. That's the difference between black people and white people in the workforce. A black woman has to get into the workforce or in the world, and she can only be comfortable around her people. So black women have always we have always served on the front line in the fight for equality. That's one thing. And I want to say that because when there's always something going on, people always remember the men that stood out there to talk about it, because of course our men are our biggest advocates when we're talking about standing and fighting for us. We only got each other. So if it's either going to be the black woman and the black man when it comes to real fighting for justice. And that's how it has always been. You ain't seeing just the black woman do more. You ain't seeing the black man do more. We just believe in
Yeah.
allowing the black man to be that focal point. That's that we always the in the house information givers. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the things that black women have done have kind of been quiet, like except for the Rosa Parks and the Harriet Tubmans and the things like that, the people who white people want to remember. Um, so
Who that?
if we being honest, um,
Hmm.
so let me jump into it anyway. We're gonna talk about some of the black women who have took a chance to stand out in the workforce in the civil rights movements, in the rights for black rights, and even if it when it came to the vote and stuff, it's it's a lot of things that I don't really um care about when it comes to voting stuff. But I'm a 0.0000000000003% of anybody who speak in this country. So my little minute voice absolutely means nothing. But if it's more of us that stand to want to fight and do a change, it can happen easier. What's going on? That's Siobhan. What's going on, Siobhan? And Badrika says black women has always been overlooked and overworked. Girl, no, we only yeah. I like that comment, Badrika.
Yeah.
Though I'm gonna come back to that a little later when we get
She
into it.
she's 100% correct. We're gonna get back to that. She's
Yeah,
100%
hundred
correct.
percent, 100% correct. But that's gonna go into the actual equality for economic resources for black women. So some of the people that have
Never gonna happen. Crazy conversation to have. But go ahead.
crazy conversation, huh? Well, we're not the conversation is not the hope that we're trying to change and get the actual thing. We know most of us know, and the most of the people who have been in the civil rights movement know that black women will never get the same benefits and
My
right
bad.
as the white woman in this world. We know that. That's not it's not set to be that way. Hell, black men are struggling to even get half of the right of a white woman. So,
Huh.
you
The
know what
fact
I'm
is,
saying?
conversation. The fact is, a conversation is the issue. But go ahead. but go. But go
So
ahead.
we go shut up, Sid.
I'm just saying, man. Like,
So tell me why the conversation is the issue.
I mean, if you go back in history, like you have so many powerful black women and powerful black men that did their thing. Like you have the different, you have different people that wanted to shine light on different sexes, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
in in certain times, you wanted to have people to say, okay, so for this, we had powerful black women that did this, that were millionaires that did this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you had powerful African American men that did this, but it had to suit a certain it had to go with a certain
Situation that was going on in the
they
time
had
in history and all of that.
today, like right now. They have to be able to teach it in a way to where it still looks like you did it, but you really didn't.
Yep.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's why they hide it, and that's why like I really appreciate Joe for what he do, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have all this information that you can actually put out, but you can't see because we didn't. It's just what it is. It's like you have all this stuff that first of all we started everything hands down, like hands down, and because you brought the topic up about black women, and we just going through this whole thing with Roe versus Wade, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing about now, like, and white men, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going through this whole thing, telling people what they can and can't do with their body. Like, they've been doing that shit for hundreds of years to black women. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this ain't nothing new. Like,
It's nothing new to
but
us. It's nothing new.
nothing nobody could do about it until they did the same thing they did last week, and now they mad about it. Mad about it. They've been doing this with black women for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
They've been like it's a whole situation, man. Like, and I feel personally the black woman is the most disrespected woman on the planet, hands down. Hands down, me, you have a conversation. It's just what it is. Like, from what she does, what they don't allow her to do, what she can't do in public, how she's looked upon, how she's frowned upon. Like, all this shit is crazy. Like, and I've saw it as I've grown up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it just don't make sense. Like, and you see black excellence every day,
Yeah.
and they pull it down to make sure that it don't get to a point to where that's where everybody want to be. That's
Mm-hmm.
and you've seen it. It's been happening since they brought black people.
Can't hear you.
Still, your voice went out. What'd you
Hello.
say?
No, no, I was saying
Oh, there you go.
it's been going on since the dawn of time, and I'm gonna just keep it short now. But they want to make sure that they take everything and make sure we can't say or do what we had to do in anyway.
That's
So
true. That's true. That's true. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't really say anything against that. That's just what it is. Um, and we're not. The
Facts is
conversation
facts.
is not. One thing about the topics on this show is to be informative, to provide resources. A lot of people who don't know their history or even begin to delve deeply enough in their history to want to know it. So the conversations on here, we can't change the world. We're just trying to increase knowledge.
shed light,
And
shed light on it.
yeah, shed light, give you insight, allow you to know that you're what you're feeling and what you may be going through isn't new. It's been going on for hundreds of years. However, these are ways that people have migrated through these times. These are ways that people have been able to sustain themselves through these times because of the intellect, the survival skills, the struggles that made you want to know much more than what you already know, which led to you having to fight for your education, um fight just to be able to walk certain streets or get on certain buses. It was so many things that
Mm-hmm.
we as a populace had to go through just to get to small ventures in our lives. So
Mm-hmm.
um to hear your take on the and on what you just said, it made me think about the fact that um we're black people have to just realize that our time in this portion of the century, our time in this portion of our, what is that, the centurium, because they say you're going from um when you leave this time frame in this part of the world, you go into another part of the world, like, I'm saying,
Correct. Yeah.
different.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't think of the word right now, but your soul, after it ejects or whatever. Um, Whenever those things happen and you start to see different, like, we won't always be the people who have to go through these struggles. We won't always be the people who have to be stepped upon and things of that nature, because it didn't start off that way when in this world. It was a lot of things that happened to overtake that. And it's just about having the substance now just to get through it. And that's really what it is. You got to be smart enough to survive, and you got to be you got to be a survival of the fittest enough to just be smart enough to maintain yourself in this world. That's really all we got. So that's my opinion. Because I don't see laws changing. I don't care how many old white men die. that's making these laws. They're being
And they
replaced
ain't gonna change.
by
By
their
younger white men.
grandchildren, their
Yeah, by younger
sons,
white men. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna
about
happen.
other white men. It
Correct.
doesn't change. So everybody always
It
saying
never
that, like,
changed.
oh my God, um, we're expecting new from Joe Biden. We're expecting new from this person. We're man, shut up. Your
They
expectations
passed
will defeat you.
they passed that law for Emmett Till when?
What law?
When he got hanged.
Are you talking about the law from when they murdered him?
Hmm. They passed it when?
Hold on. Let me tell you the exact year.
Mm, 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 mm.
Watch this though. They passed it when?
Hold on. March 29th. Oh, that just happened this year.
When did he die?
Mm. Mm,
Oh my
When
God.
did he die?
mm, mm, mm,
It
Yeah.
happened.
So no. I don't give a fuck.
mm.
But
No, no,
now
no. I ain't talking
I
about
want
it happened. I'm
I want
reading.
yeah. I wanted you to tell me when they passed the law about when they killed that little
That's a
boy
long time. That's a
and they
long
passed
time.
that shit March in March.
2022.
So you talking
2022.
you talking about law? You talking about laws changing for what? It's not set up for it to change. Like you got to
I know
understand,
that.
it's not set up for that.
That's why I said ain't you can't worry
No,
about that. That's exactly why
no.
my statement stands. Those are not things that we can't. So all that whole
They
okay,
do
but
about it.
we ain't talking about voting and all that today. We ain't talking about people who got wishful thinking about laws.
Black
Today,
women been holding it down. Black women been holding it down for so long. And when you see like black women that's really tired for real, and they really
Yeah.
tired for real, they really mean that. Like when you hold it down for so long, you tired. Like and when you get it's no respect. It's nothing you can garner from that situation, and people will sit back and say, okay, yeah, well, you can do whatever you want to do now. A black man can't even do that.
no. I said that a black man got 20% of the rights of a white woman. I didn't say of a white man. I said a white woman. So the spectrum is white man, white woman, black man,
Black man, black
black
woman.
man, Mexican, Indian, Chinese, Asian, da 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 da, black women at the bottom.
I mean,
We'll
you can put all the rest of the races above a black man too.
above black man too. I really probably I did that one wrong. All the other races go above black man. All the rest of the races go between white woman and black man.
There you go.
So it's a lot. I mean, but and we know that black people as a whole are like serpents to this country. Like we mean absolutely nothing. We know that. Um,
Hmm.
but what we're trying this the point of this conversation is not for the government and for white people to change how they feel about us. The
Correct.
point of this conversation is for black men and black women to change how they feel about us. That's the point of this conversation.
Let's
So
come together.
again, resources and information is key. When people are out here doing stupid ass shit by hating their own and doing things that against their own, that's a
Yep.
constant that's a constant tool that the white people in the government continue to get to have over us as a culture. And we don't have any acceptance of love for one another. We just don't. So this country has made the
But how do
hatred
you?
so
But how do
strong.
you? But how do you make somebody hate? How do you make somebody love your people when they grew up on
Hating your people.
everything that they made you hate? Right? Like the country made you hate everything about yourself. So you can't just wait. Like you literally, if you don't research what you got going on, like
Or
this
you're not
country,
raised with it. I
this
mean, that's another thing. That's ignorance though. A lot of that goes to ignorance. But I'll say this. 30 to 40% of that goes to ignorance. The rest of it is just people who are not in positions. And I ain't talking about because they don't have books. I ain't talking about that. I'm
I don't
talking
care about
about
positions. I
literally.
don't care about positions. I'm talking about like that.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
talking about literally. I'm talking about people who culture. Because I was just talking to somebody yesterday how they were saying like the culture of the Jamaican culture, when they talking to their kids, they loud, they rambunctious. When they talking to their children, it could be very disrespectful, it could be this, it could be that, and then they kids grow up doing the same thing. So those are generational things as well. So a lot of things are just going to be passed down because of just what you know. It's not that what you don't feel like what you know is bad. You feel like that's what you know, that's how you was taught.
But it's not about physical attributes. It's about information. Like
Yeah,
we don't like
information. It's
the
about
physical
information.
the physical attributes of how you're raised or what you're doing is cool. I don't care how you grow up. The African American experience, the African experience is just that. No matter how you're raised,
Mm-hmm.
the information is the problem, right? So I don't care how you raised. I don't care who raised you. I don't care how they raised you. The information is the issue. If you're raised up and it's smoking and drinking in your house and it's pimping in your house, there's all this shit in your house. So what? If the information is there, you know better.
Exactly.
That's the difference. So you can be raised in a Jamaican household and speak 100% patois and know more about the USA than you know about Jamaica because the information.
But that's what I'm saying. There's lack of information. We're not,
Yes, the
it's the
information
lack
not there.
of
It's not
information
there.
because I don't have a problem with who doing what and the yelling and because I yell, I cuss. But half of the
That's what
time I'm
that
doing more
you
yelling
do.
and cussing, and I got resources in my yelling and cussing.
Mm-hmm.
I got information in my yelling and cussing. I'm barely even put my I would majority half of my children's life they've been taught to more than they've been put their hands on.
Putting your hands on them. Yep. A lot of kids in this generation has been taught to them we
Hmm.
was.
Yeah. That's why a lot of times the things that we know only come from what we sought,
Mm-hmm.
SOUGHT, what we sought. Because a lot of times our parents are only teaching us what they know. It was up to us. This is why I keep telling people anytime I have these conversations with people my age, me and my age, I'm always saying it's up to our generation to have taught this generation better. We have failed
Yeah.
them. We have let them down because what they need to know about their culture and what they need to know about being able to survive to the fullest, not just sit around here waiting on a fucking YouTube video to make you rich. Because baby, you gonna
Mm-hmm.
starve. When it boils down to it, you're going
Yep.
to starve. They're not being taught that. It was our job to do that, and we have failed them. So think about who's gonna fail the next generation. They're gonna fail
But
the
if
next
but
generation.
if you but if you but if you didn't but if you got the information, if you didn't get the information at all or got the information late, how do you relay the information? Because nobody sat back. The teaching of running your own situation happened when the Black Panthers died. After that, that's when the drugs came into the community. They didn't talk no more.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing to talk about no more because it
Mm-hmm.
was displaced families. Like
Yeah,
the father had to get out. He couldn't be home no more because that's when all the welfare started. Like so,
the
so
separation where
The
where the
separation.
government said they the daddy.
so we have to talk about that too now because now it's up to the individual to speak on the situation. Like it's up to the individual parents to say, I'm not going to allow this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But how often does that happen if you do
Exactly.
not know? Like you don't know. So
That's what I'm
my
saying. And that's what a lot is going on still. People just don't know.
They don't know.
And and at this point, so let me read this comment. I don't think the youth is concerned about the history of the future, not only the black woman, but our race as a whole. Most
it
people
don't give a
nowadays,
damn.
no at all. No fucking way do they do. Most people nowadays only care about what's going on with them right at the end.
That
Absolutely
comment is
correct.
dead right. That comment is dead
Absolutely
right.
correct. Absolutely correct. No, it's you ain't even have to go back and change it to most of our youth. It's almost damn near 100%. You are you are so right, Shell. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Sometimes I used to get choked. Here go Willie go with that bullshit.
I'm saying. I'm
But we
saying.
did.
I'm
But we
saying.
did. We did.
We did. We
You go to
did.
bed, you go to bed with your
Extension
dumb
cord,
shit. Yeah,
everything.
you get choked out. Like that's just what it is.
Punched
Some
out,
Well, I
everything.
knew he was gonna come on with it. I knew it.
some people got raised like that. It's like, no, you're not gonna play like this. But
You're not
a
gonna
lot of
do it.
like some people didn't play like that. Some people didn't play
Yeah.
like that. But the majority, the vast majority of the minority that grew up, first of all, they grew up in the inner city and they grew up a certain way doing a certain thing. And when they did that, that has spilled over to what's going on now. And if you didn't get your own information or research, you passing what you learned on
What
your
you learn
own
on to your next generation, and
to
then
the
there
next
we go. We
generation.
got there. You go
And then
adding more
and now we
fuel.
To the
and now
fire.
we got TikTok.
I hate your guts.
On
How you gonna
blaze.
deal how you gonna compete with with 75 billion things on the internet to say I'm gonna teach my son different and he already 18, 17, 16 years old.
It's no,
And
it's
that's
no,
and
it's
that's
no
all he looking at.
competition. You
And when
lost. You
and
at
when he
two
come in the
percent.
house,
You at 2% in the social media generation at 98.
if
But
you
that's
if you
the
didn't already raise him
control.
like that,
That again is the control that we've given over to America. We as the Black community, we that I keep going back to, we failed the communities, and or we failed our youth, because regardless of it, Steve, we were supposed to be the people who made a difference. We said that we were the millennials. We said that we were bringing change to this country. We said this and we said that. But what it sounds to me is that we cared more about the workforce and career moves than we cared about family. That's what it sounded like our generation did in this country. We
that was a
switched it. We
that
switched
was
it.
a that was a generation before us. But I feel what you're saying.
No, they didn't.
That yeah, they did.
So you saying that the generation before us got way more into the work? Half of that generation don't even got college degrees.
That's why they had to work so much. Think about what you're saying.
It
So
But I'm
depends on
saying
which
it.
generation you talking about the
they,
baby boomers?
if it's no
Our parents, not baby boomers.
nah. So
My parents are baby boomers.
Your parent a
My
baby
parents,
boomer?
my parents baby
Yeah,
boomers.
she probably like the baby of the baby boomers, all right.
she got to be.
Yeah.
She got to
She
be
gotta
because
be.
her
She
parents can't
gotta
be that
be.
old.
She
Ain't no
got
way.
if she's 60, that's at like
Yeah.
the baby of the baby boomers.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm saying is they took everything out of the household. So you had to work so hard to do everything you had to do. So the generation for us had to do all the work and was not in the house.
You're right about that,
Right.
because I remember you're right, because
Uh-huh.
my grandma generation, which was the baby boomers, my grandma worked her whole time, but until she
I'm
didn't, but my grandma didn't work until she got separated. My grandfather did took care of the house like
Everything.
before, because
how
that's the
old how
generation.
old is your granddaddy? How old is
He
your
grew
granddaddy?
in.
My grandma is 85. I mean, my grandma 85. So that's why I said
Okay.
the generation before that. She
The
started working when
no
they got to
the generation
no.
after that is what happened. It was our parents that
No,
did
I'm
that.
not saying, I'm talking about the generation that was doing the parents, the woman at home and
Oh no.
the
If we would
woman
have
at
kept
home and the man at work. That was my grandma and them generation.
yes, after
That's
that
what I was saying.
it was
That's what I
all
was
work.
saying.
So it progressively got worse. It progressively got worse. So it was the woman at home, your granddaddy going to work every day,
There we
taking care of the
go.
whole
Baby
household.
boomers 1946 to 1964. My
So
mama just hit the baby boomer age.
my mama just did too. So you talking
She
about
was born in 64.
and I remember my mama staying home. My daddy went to work when I was growing up. And they actually got separated. They never got hold on situation. But she wasn't working when he was going to work, right? So But that was when he depended on the government too, right?
But that's what I was gonna say too, though.
He was in
Like
the
the
military.
switch came between our grandparents and our parents. There was a drop in that switch then, because you got some people that was our grandparents that was still at home with the husbands at work. Then you got some people that was our grandparents that had to go to work, where the mothers had to start depending on the government for assistance and things like that. So it started between that age of our grandparents and our parents. So
And
that's
it's
the
switched.
age that parents, and what we're talking about is the age where the mother left the household, because, and that's what I meant. This is when things start getting a little bit lost. We're talking about how we started losing the youth and the generation, and letting the generational curses and
The
things
80s,
keep on passing through from
70s,
time to time to time.
mid 70s to the 80s. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
So
It
mid
was the
70s
beginning
to
of
the
the
80s.
70s.
Mid
I mean,
70s
yeah,
to the 80s.
definitely
It
mid
was at the
70s.
beginning of the 70s. That's
Mid
when
it was
that's when the
it was
change
So
yeah,
started.
what, like 73, 72?
I say round, and you can go back as far as about
Yes,
69.
Siobhan said 72.
You go about 69, 70, and go ahead on up.
But
Because
it was at the top of the 70s.
that's when everybody started coming back home from the war, and they was really stuff was bad for people over here.
That's what this
So
Siobhan, that's the perfect answer right there. Whenever welfare came out, that's when. And welfare was sent into the neighborhoods right after when the crack epidemic started. So that was around the 70s.
but see,
80s, 70, 80s.
but no,
But
no.
they had a welfare
It
plan
happened
before
before
that.
that though. It
Well, the
happened
Yeah,
before
welfare
they
that.
had a
plan before,
welfare plan
but the
before that.
welfare plan before that didn't grow dramatically until they started taking the fathers out of the home. Like it ain't get
And
when it got.
that started in the
The
70s. That
drug,
That's
started
why
in
I
the
said the
70s.
70s. The
Yeah, it's the
70s.
70s.
the heroin epidemic started way before the epidemic of welfare, right? They started like because you got to remember the Black Panthers used to actually aid all of the moms and the families back then,
And
and
when
they
they
shut them.
stopped, that's when
They
welfare
shut.
Right.
stopped.
They
That's
shut
why
them
they
down.
shut
They
That was
shut
them.
the
that
That's
WIC
why
WIC.
they
first.
shut them
That was
down.
when WIC was created. That's when the
They
Black
shut.
Panther Party created the
They.
WIC women.
I'm telling you, they
Yeah,
shut them down first. So we didn't have to depend on the government. They shut them down
we was
first,
taking
and
care of
after
our
that,
communities.
and it was all dope. So when the dope came and hit, everybody got separated, and
All right,
that's when it went
let me
bad.
get some of these comments, y'all. We don't take pride in where we came from, mainly because we haven't been taught as a people. Very true
One
indeed.
thousand percent. 1000%.
Very true
Oh yeah.
indeed. The economy changed in the 70s. Labor-intensive jobs were sent to foreign lands, and the Black man suffered most. Very much so. Very much so. And all this happened in the 70s. So the whole
Because that's when
focus,
all the factories started shut down.
They shut
and
them down.
when our
Yep, they started
government,
shutting down.
when our
Them
government
steel
when they
mills.
put the welfare in the systems, and all of this created the issues for the Black woman now has to go to work. So now who the kids got at home to raise them and put and
Nobody.
instill the values and instill the things that we were taught that we're supposed to take care of in our communities. Making sure your front porch swept out because your community matter. Making sure the neighbors got milk because your community matter.
They
Like
wasn't
all that
going to
shit
work
went
though.
out
That
the
was the
window.
problem. They wasn't going to work though. That was the problem. So the thing was, they wouldn't allow them to go into work because they didn't have nothing to work for. They didn't have no skills. They had no skill set,
Well,
right?
we know that though. See, I ain't
So
talking about that
so
part. Go ahead though.
so that's why they couldn't go to work. So they had to stay home. So now, not only can you not work, now you got to stay home with your kids, and your husband or your baby daddy got to get out your house. Even though he taking care of the crib, he can't be
He
in there
can't be
because of
there.
what they
He
placed.
still
He
can't
got
be
to
there.
be gone.
He still could
He
be
So
there.
needs to come check.
The fathers no longer were fathers. Then that's when you made the Black man. Now think about that. Now that's when the pride was sucked out of the Black man.
correct.
When you told the Black man he couldn't take care of his home, he couldn't be in there with his wife and his children.
That's where the issues
So
start,
they could get these assistants.
Come get this assistance.
and it was 100% on
But
purpose.
you tell him he need to go. He don't need,
Yep.
Because for one,
Larry can't be there. Larry can't be there.
the threat is that the black couple is a threat. A full Black family figure is a threat to this country. Seeing too many families walking together hand in hand, black is a problem.
1,000%.
So I don't know. We don't got so far off topic. I like it though, because for one, I think that this was very, very
We
needed.
did know. We did know
I was
because the
just
whole conversation.
Dang. I was
The
just
whole
about to say that
conversation.
with
The
your
whole
big head ass.
conversation went. The whole conversation geared around black women being disrespected, and that's what we
What
talked about this
I was gonna
entire
say, it comes
conversation.
full circle.
In
It
a
comes full
roundabout,
circle.
You just do
way, we talked
to
about
be
the whole thing.
It's a
I
whole
can do
full
this all
circle
day.
thing.
I
I
can do
know
this all day.
we've
You hear
done this
me?
all day. We've had this conversation for hours. But yes, it comes into full circle. And the reason why this conversation is started off with just the black woman inequality is because we can't expect that the black woman will get any equal rights in this country at all if the black man don't even have them. Because let's be honest, we're not looked at as a unit in this country. So there's a separation.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look at the black woman and the black man as a unit.
Mm-hmm. You're 100% correct. And it's been but it's been like that
always
since
been like that.
since
It
they
ain't gonna
separated
change.
since they separated the man from the woman when they were slaves and they took their kids. Like it's been like that since then.
It's been
You have put into people's minds like you're not supposed to be a unit. You're supposed to be separated.
You ain't
And
human.
it's been given to
well, if you haven't even been given if the law hasn't even changed to say that we weren't even human beings yet.
You ain't human. They look at us as not human, and that's how they got everybody
It
looking
ain't
at us like
changed.
we
It
not
don't say
human.
nothing different. They ain't changed nothing in the Bill of Rights or the Constitution to say that black men are they just said that all men are to be created equal, but they had never changed nothing that said that we are looked upon as men.
correct. They
Yeah.
never changed anything for the Constitution. None of that stuff never changed.
No. So we can't expect any change in this society. We're not expecting that. If you are, then you kind of you living wrong. What we can do
Really
is learn
wrong.
to navigate together. Ooh, gee, I'm gonna have to disagree with you totally on this one. Integration was both a blessing and a curse for the black community. I'm just gonna say it was a curse. I don't
I
agree.
always said it was a curse.
I don't agree with it being a blessing at all. Because
I
everything
mean,
we got, we could
you
have
gotta
had.
see, you gotta delve into it a bit more and
Yeah, but
and see what he means.
I know, because I know what he mean
I
about.
always said it should have never happened. I always said it should have never happened.
I know what he mean about it,
Me too.
about the blessing and the curse. I know exactly what he means by that. Oh
Because we
yeah.
was already
Oh
thriving.
yeah. Oh, I like Amy comment right here. Amy, nothing in the Constitution says women, which is why they are openly attacking women. Women of color is a double whammy. But yeah, they definitely women haven't even been declared. What we fall on the men when they say these things. Well, I'm asking a serious question right now. When they say all men and women all men are created equal,
It's
are they talking about us
from
too?
what I was taught that
No, no.
from when it was written, it was all men.
Exactly. So
But now they'll say that it
It
was
had
kind of
it
biblical
had
because
nothing.
in the Bible how it say all men.
It had nothing to do with y'all back then.
nothing.
You
But no,
didn't
not
go.
back then. No.
You didn't
That's why
none
Roe
of
v.
that.
Wade. That's why Roe v. Wade was created.
Yeah, y'all
We had
were
to have
basically
something that protect our body. We already was not human. They never
correct.
said they never acknowledged us as being human.
So you got to remember back then, no woman couldn't vote. Period. So that took it all the way out of the equation. So that's just what it was.
Yep.
That's just how it went down. Y'all didn't vote at all. So when they said all men are created equal, they meant that. They meant that by the word. They meant
They
that.
definitely meant
All
it by the
white
word.
men are created equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course they want to
Well,
talk
they
about.
been well. That's who men are in this country. That's who men
That's
are
who.
labeled as. Men aren't
That's who
labeled
voted.
as black
That's who
men
voted. That's
anymore.
who did their thing. But that's a whole other conversation, man. We
Yeah.
we we we're talking about
Well,
black
don't
women right
don't
now.
try to
Like
say that
we
now.
can't.
We done got full. You talking about we talking about we done left that.
I'm saying we can't talk about
Yeah, well,
the black man that you're talking about. We can't dive into that, and we can't even get into the conversation of voting and women and the black woman. Like it's nah. Like it didn't happen. Like when they wrote that shit, it was for white men and white men only, and that's just
yeah,
what it was.
that's
That's
what it was
just what it
for.
was. It
That's
had
what it
nothing
was
to do
for.
with nobody else. It had
That's
nothing to do
exactly
with
what it
white.
was
It, it,
for.
it was all white men, 100%. That's it.
Yep.
Nothing to do with nobody else.
Yep. And then the sad part about that is that we still be talking about, well, this the law say this and law. Where you seen that at?
The law ain't even on for you.
It's never been written for you. So I be okay. But so
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
whole today, um, I can't I gotta at least say one of these particular women that I felt were an empowering set was an empowering person. I gotta at least say who what I thought.
Miss O'Lean.
This particular lady
Shut
is
up.
her
Shut
name
up.
is her name is Mrs. Reese Taylor, and it says through their testimonies, Black women like Miss Taylor fought against sexualized violence and sparked larger campaigns for racial justice. She was one of the first Black women to speak up about Black women being raped and white men having babies from us and getting us pregnant on the plantations and back in the day when we was the slaves
Hmm.
and all of that. That's what her fight was for. Um
Mm.
I
Okay.
that's that type of person to me. These people aren't the ones that I spoke about when you're talking about a lot of times for the justice and the fights and the walks and the all of the things that they
Correct.
did back then. So when we talk about the Roe v. Wade, if we really want to get down to it, Roe v. Wade was a law. The law in general, I don't have a problem with. I want the law to be in full effect because I'm a woman and I believe that I should be able to do whatever I want to with my body. But if we're
Mhm.
being completely honest here, Roe v. Wade was completely for the to protect the white woman when she wanted to start having abortions and when she wanted to start doing the things that needed to happen that was happening against her body. Black women have always been raped. We've never had a voice to
The
stand
problem was
and speak
the
and say,
problem was the problem was they were raping and taking advantage of white women, right?
I know. That's
And
why it was
and and they
came.
started and they started coming to the forefront to where people were starting to go to jail and people were starting to get called out about it. So now they had to have a situation where like, nah, we can't do this to them, just them.
To them. But
Mhm.
now, because the law of women has always been a question, the white men don't respect white women either. White men don't respect no woman.
Absolutely
Nobody.
not.
So
Nobody.
Absolutely not.
they if when it boils down to superiority, if it's gonna be them versus everybody else. But
Mhm.
if it boils down to what they want and who they're gonna deal with in the end, it's gonna be white men and white women versus everybody else. So the
Yep.
white man might stand up there and act like they don't want this to happen to their wife or to their child or to their daughter or to their sister or to their brother. They'll shoot somebody who try to make them stop having an abortion. They'll
I mean,
kill and get off and get off.
mhm.
The reason
Most
why this
definitely.
affects the reason why this fight matters to black women so much is because black women are raped, tortured, taken advantage of on a regular basis. We have to go through the mud. That's why this conversation was put into as a topic today, because in the middle of this whole Roe v. Wade thing, I don't care who testify to prove the point of this. If a black woman gets on the stand and says they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. So if my plea is not to continue to think that the government has our best interest, my plea today is for us to realize that we have to have our own best interests. We have to start being more of our own equality-based force for ourselves. It needs to be, if it don't help all of us, it can't help none of us. If it ain't gonna suit all of us, it's not for any of us. And if we don't ever put that, and at this point, with things being so separated, where everybody is in it for themselves, there's a social injustice amongst blacks against blacks, there's a constant misconception of so many things that are going on in this country with us, and we still don't see that all these political forces and all these things are against us to continue to keep separating us, and we're not doing anything to change that, but falling into the traps, falling into the traps, falling into the traps, until we see how much more important we are, until we take that mirror and realize that what you see is worth saving. Nothing's going to change. So my plea is just that, to look at these laws, look at this stuff that's going on, and see who it benefits, see who it matters to. Because once you realize that you're still a pawn, and I mean the smallest pawn on the chessboard, until you realize that you are the greatest pawn on the chessboard, things ain't going to change. So I appreciate our open forum guests for always being here.
We outside, man. I told you, man. We out here, man.
And I appreciate you, Steve, because you gave good opinions today. You know, you rocked us out, but you gonna definitely be here to speak. Y'all better believe it. He ain't here to just sit back there and not say nothing.
So I know what's going on. Like,
no, we appreciate that though. He gonna be on here to talk for the men, and the men gonna jump in the comments and say what they need to say, because the men, y'all said some things today. I appreciate y'all. And of course, always, Queen, you got anything you want to say before we get up out of here today?
Yeah, you summed it up. Who can say something after you just said that? That was the end right there. That was the end. I just sat back and listened today. Appreciate you.
Stick. Hey man, listen, you got to have an honest conversation. Like you gotta have an honest conversation, man, and it don't happen enough, and that's the problem, So yeah, air it out. That's it.
That's right.
Air it out.
That's right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in today. We had many different facets of the conversation today, so I really appreciate y'all tuning in, paying attention, giving us y'all feedback. And if you didn't do anything today, hopefully you got some information and something that you can walk away with to pass on to somebody else, because the whole point of this is to get those resources and that information out there so we can start having a better unit. So I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next Wednesday. Peace. Peace.